Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Ay, still not understanding. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to grab the charger. That phone was about to die. So fast forward back to, he tried to walk me out, and I'm like, I'm good. And he was like, well, let me at least walk you to the door. So he walked me to the door, and I went home. Mind you, I'm downtown Chicago. I had to drive all the way back to 90th, where we stay in Beverly. And I had no phone. So I'm just praying that, Lord, don't let nothing happen to me on these streets. Let my car be good, because I had to drive home. I don't have no phone to call anybody. But I got home. Got up the next morning. First thing, didn't go to church. I went straight to Primeco. Primeco, if you all remember, used to be on 99th and Western, right up the street. Good old Primeco got my phone back. Baby, Primeco got that phone. They had replaced phones for like, I don't know if it was free or $50, but they got me my same phone, and they got me back restored right away. I had my Palm Pilot, so they was able to bring over all of my contacts and place them into my phone, and I was back in action. And I think I did. I went to church right after that. So Primeco opened. I got there early on a Sunday morning and went straight to church. It's now about 1 o'clock. I'm getting out of church service. My church, my home church, is on the west side of Chicago. So I drive to church. On my way home, I was talking to my sister-in-law, who was very in the know of my life. That was my ex's brother's wife. Bless her heart, we still talk to this day. But I was on the phone with her. I even told her about, meeting this guy, Ontario. Anyway, as I'm talking to her about Ontario, I get a beep through on my phone, and I didn't recognize the number, because mind you, I hadn't saved his number because I didn't have a phone to put his number in, right? He gave me his phone number, but I never stored his number. No, he took my number. I never stored his number in my phone. So when I clicked over, lo and behold, it was this warm, dare I say, creamy voice. That smooth voice. Whew. It was that voice, and it was on the line. And in this day, I'm in a different space, right? Because I done slept. I done went to church, put it all on the line. Baby, I laid all my troubles on the line. And it's this voice on the other line. And I click over, and of course I tell him, hold on for a moment. I click over and I told her, it's him. And she like, get off the phone with me and go talk to him. Cause she knowing that I deserve joy. I deserve love. I deserve happiness. But this isn't where we were. At this point, it was just, I guess maybe I wasn't looking for a friendship, but a friend would have been, nice, but I wasn't looking for that. Nevertheless, we got on that phone at about 1 o'clock. I don't think we got off of that phone, that first call, until 5 p.m. And as you get to know Ontario, you will know that communication or talking is not his strong, point. Unless he has something to talk about, he's not a phone person. Ontario call when he has something to discuss. Now, will he call me and say, how's your day going? Yeah, but it's real short, simple, sweet, cute, and he'll talk to me later. He's just not that guy that's going to sit on the phone. Our first conversation, we sat on that phone for about 4 hours. And I told him my story. I didn't hide, and remember, at this time, I had decided that I was going to get a divorce, but I was still searching through attorneys. I had not chosen an attorney that was going to handle this divorce yet. So I was still a separated woman that was married with a baby. Now, Layla, at this point, it was January, so Layla was one, because I had her in September. I left him at, yeah, Layla was 1.5. I had a baby, and I had baggage. Baby sis had baggage, but but my baggage wasn't enough to run Mr. Pryor off. That wasn't. He had that, he did that, and that was not a deal breaker for him, right? I guess he saw through my trials and still saw me, Natasha. Y'all just don't know. That's how I can tell you all today, don't give up, because your Ontario is out there, right? And it doesn't mean that we have a perfect marriage, right? We still have our trials. We still have situations. We still have little petty disagreements. But love don't hurt, y'all. It's different. Love don't hurt. Love don't attack. Love don't create pain. They don't do those things. We love one another indefinitely, but we may not always like what each other does, and that's okay. That's normal. That's functional. It's not toxic, right? Nevertheless, it's the end of January when I meet him. We're talking, we're chatting, we're just getting to know each other. He asked me if he could take me out, but remember, I'm a good mom, so I'm heavily involved with my kids. So leaving my kids just wasn't, my child was not an option for me to go out on a date with somebody. So one day, he wanted to come and take me out on a date, as he called the element, and it was gonna be the element of surprise. And like he's gonna plan this date. Again, when you meet Ontario, you'll get to know Ontario, you'll know he is not necessarily the most romantic person. So for this guy to tell me about the element of surprise, now I look back and it's cute. But Ontario's chill, like right here. That cool as a gent. Chill. That's who he is. So I look back now like, baby, who were you trying to be? He was trying to get me, okay? Nevertheless, we could never go out because, Layla needed my attention. So one particular day, I'm like, you know what? Fine. And I think I was also fearful of going out because I hadn't been out with anyone other than the ex. I hadn't really went out on dates like that. I was young when I met him. So while I was going out and partying with my girls, college life, I dated people, but it wasn't, like an adult dating. Adult dating and college dating is different, right? So I probably was more nervous. But anyway, one day Layla went to sleep, and remember I was staying at my parents' house at the time, and he came and picked me up, and we went to Dunkin' Donuts he must have picked me up about 9 p.m. And we stayed, I kid you not, we stayed in Dunkin' Donuts from about 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. This was a Sunday night. I'll never forget it because I had to work Monday morning. But here we are. We talked and talked and talked and talked and talked some more. He's not a coffee drinker. He had his hot chocolate. I probably had a French vanilla coffee, but we just connected, It felt too good to be true connected. And we just got to spend time getting to know each other. He lived on his own, and he had a great job, and he was just a good person. Until did have a son, or does have a son, and I had a daughter. His son is Kyle, and you'll meet Kyle. He had Kyle when he was in college, so Kyle was older, but nevertheless, it's just a really good guy. Former athlete, and got injured playing football. But here we are today, right? Fast forward, we met in January. I finally let him meet Layla. And I have to tell you all about that story because it took a long time for me to entrust him with my baby. And I tell you, one thing I watched, I used to avid Oprah watcher, right? And it was a particular episode where she had men who raped kids and they were in jail. And there was this episode, and one common factor that they all said, because they all mentioned that they dated women who had children. So Oprah asked, like, these women allowed you around their kids? And one common factor I'll never forget, they said that women never asked them had they ever been arrested or had they ever fondled or touched or did anything, molested children. And I found that striking, and I knew that whoever I dated, whoever I allowed to come into Layla's presence, that would be a question that I would ask, because I'll never forget that episode on the Oprah show. So, throughout our conversations, because it was easy to talk to one another, I said, I'm gonna have to ask you this question, and I hope you don't feel disrespected by it. And I don't mean any harm. And I'll tell you why after I ask you, He's like, what? And I said, have you ever been accused of molestation? Or have you ever dated a minor? Or have you ever touched a minor inappropriately? And I had a stoic face. I was dead serious. And he looked at me and he said, I respect this question. And I absolutely have never, will never, that's not me. So to answer your question, no. But I want you to know how much I respect that question from you. And I understand why you're asking me. I've never been asked that. I've never, and I've dated, women who have had children, but that was never a question that was ever asked. But I appreciate you for asking. As a mother, I appreciate you for asking it. Nevertheless, I think a few months later, I finally allow him to meet my heart and joy, my Layla baby. So Layla and I have been through a lot together. She was young, so she doesn't know. Layla knows love. Layla had grandparents. Layla had family. Layla had strong men in her life who loved her. And so I needed to protect her. It was my job to protect my baby. Nevertheless, he finally met Layla. And our story, it's a lot more backstory, and I'll go into it later as we continue to do these chats. And I hope you guys appreciate it. But that was some of the story of Ontario and Natasha, and it gets better. But that's how we met, and that's our story. And I hope you can relate to it. If you guys have any stories you'd like to share with me on how you've overcome or situations that you've been through and how you were able to escape those situations and find your better half, or maybe you're still searching for him, or maybe you're in a place where it's just you and your baby and you're gonna ride this thing out. And I tell you, that's when things happen. When you get you together and you make up a decision, make it in your mind that, Lord, what is for me, but this is what I have today. I'm going to appreciate the blessings that you've given me, and I'm going to be happy in this moment. That's when those surprises come. And when you're at your breaking point, that's when those blessings come. Keep the faith, and share your stories with me. I want to hear about your stories too. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and let's enjoy the remainder of this day. Thank you all. I appreciate you for listening to me and just appreciating my trials and my tribulations that I've had to endure. Know that your story is not over. All right? Until we meet again, I will talk to you soon. Bye.